Alright, my day did not start off so well. This thing left me stranded on the side of the highway at 6:30 this morning, my way into work. Just quit running on me, going down the expressway. So, I'm gonna show you how to diagnose this. So there's no fire issue. I was getting the fuel, but nothing else. Nobody home. I don't carry a lot of things with me, but I do carry a lot of the right things with me to help this through. So see how the gauges come to life. All that works. Nobody home. So with this model of truck, 88 to 95, even though 95 has a newer rounded dash, typical of the Vortec trucks, it's still TBI. And definitely smell the gas. So anyways, back with these trucks, one of the main faults of these of a no fire issue is ignition control module. There are two vents on the bottom side of the distributor that'll get clogged up and not vent like they should. The ignition control modules are prone to overheat, and they need a good ground. If not, you'll burn them up. So this is the one I took off of it. Standard Motor Products, made in USA. It's got the white paste you stick on the bottom. Part number for that. So that was my original thought with this, is that's what went bad. So my foreman was kind enough to leave work and go to the auto parts store for me, buy me a new one, drove it out to me, and still nothing. So that leads to the second possible cause of 3, which is the pickup coil inside the distributor. Those will go bad over time. As far as I know, that's the original distributor and pickup coil to this truck, which this truck's a 92. It's 2021, 29 years old. I think I got its use out of it. And the fact, if you look there, there's 292,643 miles on this truck. So I think it did all right for longevity. But usually wherever I go, I carry my scanner with me. Not so much for my vehicles, but I work with a lot of travelers, of which I usually am one. And doing what I do, being a pipe fitter welder, you always meet a lot of people from job to job, and eventually you start running into the same people over and over again. And a lot of them know I do my own mechanic work. So if their vehicle's throwing a code, instead of them taking time off of work to go see a mechanic or something, I help them out, and I'll run the codes for them so they know what it is and decide if it's something that they can do in a parking lot or if it's a little bit more involved. It stopped raining. So my truck's OBD1. It's not OBD2 like everything else. So you gotta put an adapter on. That's the OBD2 port. That's the OBD1 port. This is two separate pieces. I've also got all the other adapters for Ford and Chrysler and Jeep. I go all the way back to the 80s with us. But here it is. That's your OBD1 port right next to the hood release. So we'll plug that in. And let's see what we get. No real good way to do this. So, because this is OBD1, this scanner will not self-recognize the vehicle. You gotta punch a lot of this stuff in manually. Whoop. All happy there, gotta go back. 92. Pick up K 5.7 liter. Powertrain. And the scanner is both touchscreen or buttons on the side. Sometimes it works better with actually touching the screen, some of it not. So, data display. Alright, RPM is at 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank this, and we're going to watch RPM. We're going to watch and see what happens there. Okay, 0. So that tells you your ignition control module is not sending a fire signal. To fire the spark plugs. There's some other voodoo magic in there I don't quite fully understand, but that's pretty much the gist of it. The brain's dead. one of the brains is dead. So I already replaced that out on the side of the highway this morning with a brand new one. So my next step is to pop the distributor out, put a new one in. I'm fairly certain that's what's wrong with it. When you see the old one, you'll understand. But it's run this way for quite a few years. So don't laugh too hard when you see it. But there's another code on this too, so let's go to display codes. O2 sensor circuit open, short, or bad. Now I have had the service engine soon light pop on this off and on, and some of that is due to the oil blow by I have. This thing likes to burn a little oil, and I am not running standard manifolds on this. I am running Vortec manifolds. So the O2 sensor is in a slightly different place. It's not exactly in the stream of the exhaust. It's a little above it. But it screws right into where the EGR port goes on Vortec manifold on the driver's side. So I should probably get one of those. Save that, didn't want to save that. I'm not overly concerned about that, but I will definitely get that done. Anyway, here's a new distributor. And as you can probably guess, it's from the land of almost right. I will not be using this cap or rotor. Warranty void if removed. I'll probably stick with this ignition control module because it has a warranty void if removed sticker on it. But I will keep the good one I bought this morning and installed in this truck as a spare. Same thing with the cap and rotor. I'll keep those as spares in here, just in case something decides to happen. Let's disassemble this guy. Alright, so as you guys can see, this right here is your pickup coil. Ignition control module. This acts as your ground. There's supposed to be dielectric grease, or preferably that white paste that goes between this and this. I really don't like the fact that they use a combination Phillips and standard. Not overly happy about that, but it is what it is. On the original ones, those take a 5.5 millimeter or a 7/32 socket. Same thing with these screws. They're the same size. They're 7/32 or 5.5 millimeter. They also have a Phillips. I usually have a screwdriver in the truck with me, no matter what. You'll see when I take the cap off of mine, this is pretty much solid rust. And there's a lot of metal particles on there, so it's probably well worth its or well past its usable lifespan. You got your 2 wires that come from the pickup coil into the ignition control module. Warranty void if removed. Well, we'll worry about that bridge when we cross it. So we'll pop the hood on this, and we'll get the old one pulled out. We'll get this one installed, get the truck retimed. Well, get this one installed, see if it'll fire up, retime the truck. Alright, as you guys can see, that's kind of rusty. Definitely past, it's definitely earned its keep. And down here is a 9/16 bolt. Grab my flashlight. That guy right there, it holds a hold down clamp. It holds the distributor down. So I gotta disconnect that plug that goes back to the ECM. Disconnect this plug, which comes up to the coil right here. And we know that. Alright, let's try this. Stay there. Okay. So our rotor is pointing to the square coolant plug. And this plug is pointing right back to this body bolt here. So the corner of this plug, it's almost right dead center on that. So when I pull this distributor out, I have my 2 reference points there and there for reinstalling it as close as I can. Now you're supposed to disconnect all this, roll your engine back over to number 1 top dead center, and this will be pointed over here towards the coil plug. I'm not going to do that. I've done enough of these. I should be able to get it fairly close as is. At least that's the idea anyways. So let's see if I can hold the camera and a flashlight in one hand and manipulate a wrench with the other. Somewhere I had the proper socket to do this. Don't ask me where it is. It's lost somewhere in the great abyss. Alright, I gotta set you guys down. Okay, that is clamped back down. So I'm going to, yeah, that's about where it should be. Yeah, there's a better view of how nasty that thing is. Been in there for a minute. Those are the screens that help drain moisture and heat out of these. I'm going to keep this because these are rebuildable. So, put that back over there. Got that. This guy. Come right off and go right back on. Telling you guys, these are Vortec manifolds. You see right back there, that's where the O2 sensor goes. And normally on these trucks, they go below that and they run parallel with the engine. But on the Vortec trucks, this is where they have their EGR tube that comes up and over the EGR valve. Those O2 sensors thread right in there. It's actually a lot nicer trying to get these O2 sensors out of these manifolds than they are the original manifolds. So, yeah. Stay there, there, that there. Alright, I'm going to see if it fires like this. Probably just going to retime it regardless. I'm just curious to see how close I got it. When we go to retime this, we got to disconnect this. That gets disconnected. We retime it. Shut it off. Plug this back in. And then start it. Interesting. Okay. Obviously no fire. So we'll go on to the third common problem. The coil. See what we got for battery voltage. .05 volts. .12.1213. 11.4243. Alright, so making sure I've got injector pulse. I got one of these guys. I have the appropriate TBI one plugged in. I gotta hook this dealy jobber up. This allows the extension so you can see the pulse light on it. It's getting fuel before I can still smell fuel, but we'll do the test anyways, just to make sure. I'll take that, feed that up there, and we'll make sure we got injector pulse. Yep, we have injector pulse. Alright, so we got injector pulse, we got no spark, so either the cam kind of rolled when I put the distributor in a tooth. It's possible, but I'm gonna go find a test light and see if we get a pulse signal going from the coil to the pickup coil. Going back and forth right now with a friend of mine. He deals with this stuff on a daily basis. Some of the stuff I know, but I have forgotten, or I've never had to delve this far into it. So bear with me. I gotta go find a test light. Well, guys, after some more testing, I do believe I found the culprit. Thing that I did. Probably should have done that a couple years ago. Here's the coil that was in it. As you can tell, melted some of its guts out. So I'm gonna let this thing sit here idle, warm up some, go find my timing light, and then we'll get this thing timed. Factory specs is 0 degrees before top dead center. I've got a carbureted, I have a stock carbureted Chevy 350 cam in this, which is a little bit better than the factory TBI cam. That's what these These trucks probably should have had factory put in them. And I'm going to end up timing this probably 5 to 7 degrees advanced. And we'll shut it off, disconnect the ground wire, or the ground terminal on the battery, plug the wire back in, and hopefully everything will be happy after that. See that. Guy always has equipment out for sale. Never really stopped to look at it before, or any of the stuff he sold.